Thanks, Benny. Thank you for, taking out the time to join me in doing this interview. Thank you for, taking out the time to talk about yourself and or your company and your business and your background. And just to begin with, could you quickly just introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, well, my name is Beni Rachmanov. I was born in Israel. I moved here when I was 2 years old to the United States. The U.S. is a country that I love. The state of Israel, the Israeli country, is this country that I love also. I had the privilege of seeing many places around the world, including Japan, China, UK, Caribbean islands, and met a lot of people in business and other places. Hopefully, I'll travel to more places if I'm invited.
Mhm.
Bahrain, Dubai are in my sights, right, to see. And obviously, there's a lot of other places I want to see. Um, I'm more in the book space. I've been printing for a long time books.
Mhm.
I've been self-publishing. I've done projects and books for a while. I know the whole process of printing. I was connected with big publishing houses. I did digital printing myself, graphic design, professional InDesign guy. I can do the book pagination, so on and so forth. That's really my forte in book industry and in living. Basically, what's my trade in a sense.
Mhm.
Me, I'm an avid love. I love reading. I love
Okay.
information. I think information is key.
Mhm.
But I do believe, through my background and experience, because I grew up in the age of no, how do you say it, no social media, no cell phone,
Yeah.
and the age of digesting complete information as opposed to snapshots of information is, I
Mhm.
think, the biggest cultural deficit, or not necessarily deficit, or maybe a cultural deficiency that we have today. That's just
Mhm.
my opinion. That's basically my small background. There's a lot I could talk about, but I don't think you want to hear my whole life story. That's
No,
for an autobiography
definitely.
one day.
Okay. And what motivated you to start your company?
So that's the main motivation, actually. What I realized, the difference between our platform, we've been around for 7.5 years, since 2013.
Mhm.
We started as an ebook platform. We said, okay, I wanted to really do an ebook where you're more socially, you're able to be socially active with the words you read and
Mhm.
share it. And then we saw, by going to the shows, I learned a lot. We went to DBW, we went to Book Expo, we went to IDPFF when it was IDPFF.
Mhm.
Um, Now, and we're hearing the industry, what they're asking from the developers, what they're looking for, the authors, the writers. And a lot of them said we want to be able to kind of directly connect with those who buy our ebooks.
Mhm.
And Overdrive and Book and Kobo and even iBooks, they
Mhm.
really don't have that option. Like, okay, here's our data of all the people that bought your ebooks. They're not giving that out, obviously. They're keeping that data to themselves.
Mhm.
So we decided, and this is just like one feature in our platform.
Mhm.
As we're going through all these shows, we're saying, one second, we already built the ebook app.
Mhm.
Why are we keeping it just as an ebook app? Let's go all social media. Let's do it all social.
Okay.
So we created iShook.com, and we have a chat app that's associated to iShook.com called YChat. So we created iShook.com, which is a social media platform that will now let you connect your postings, right? And have your postings linked to real material. Like, post a real material. You have an issue, you have an idea, you have an opinion. Okay, but make your opinion rich in content
Mhm.
by actually not quoting just an article. Quote an article in an encyclopedia, quote an article in an ebook you read, things of that sort, which I
Mhm.
think is one of the biggest things that people are missing today. Like, if I'm going to argue with you, the way I do it in my background, because I am Jewish, right? Born in Israel. I have a
Okay.
rabbinical judge certification. It
Mhm.
took me 15 years to learn that. It's
Okay.
learning Talmudic studies. It's a lot of information.
Mhm.
You can't just make up information. You
Mhm.
got to be able to citate every law, every angle, every position if you want to prove your point right. So if I have an argument, I'll say, okay, let me open this book, look at this book, open this page. You see this page? what am I saying wrong here? This is what it
Mhm.
is in our, theological studies. That's how we work.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, people don't have that ability when it comes to social media. So we said, let's have that ability. And
Mhm.
then going back to the point of the authors, where they can now connect to their readers,
Mhm.
is when you buy a person who wrote an ebook, when you bought his ebook or a person's ebook, you're able by instant purchasing. Let's say if I bought your ebook, now I'm following you.
Mhm.
So if you're a historian,
Mhm.
right, then now it's all going to come together. If you're a historian, I read from you a certain perspective of history that
Mhm.
was not known, because historians are, they went to school for that. They
Yeah.
wrote they wrote a paper for that. They wrote a thesis for that. They've proven themselves to have the ability to be a historian. Now I can quote that historian within my social media postings,
Yeah.
right? But now I have that
Makes
discoverability
sense.
that can discover those authors. So if I ever want to have a question, we can all go, let's go to the historian. Let's
Mhm.
ask him what he says. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you say about our
Definitely.
debate here? Okay.
Mhm.
But no, everybody's like saying things as if they're a lawyer, they're a doctor, they're a physician, they're infectious disease. Like everybody became every profession.
Mhm.
That's what's happened in social media construct, by the way. So
Got
that's
it.
what we came with the idea, getting ebooks, getting content delivered, rich content delivered properly,
Mhm.
rich content discovered properly. But the social media today doesn't have those features. They don't have that apparatus. So we
Mhm.
created that apparatus. We created that whole niche. We're updating our full privacy policy. We're updating iShook.com. And that's where, basic jest. I mean, it's probably long what I said, but it's the basic jest what iShook is about.
Mhm. Definitely. That's like really interesting. A lot of features coming together to,
Yeah.
perform like a very special thing. That's a good thing. And so where did you go to school, and what was your major, by the way?
Well, I never went to high school. I mean, I went to high school, never went to college.
Okay.
So I went to private school, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I went post school. I went for Talmudic studies. So I went in another private school, which took me about, I could tell you, 10, 15 years to study, which is basically mastering the Talmud, mastering rabbinical works. I don't know how to express to people what it means to be a rabbinical judge or a
Okay.
rabbinical master. It basically means you have to know and learn and study thousands and thousands of books.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Like like there's people in Israel, just to explain to you, that have what they call a Talmudic test.
Mm-hmm.
What's a Talmudic test? It's like one school over there that I'm connected with. I can never beat those kids. These are
Okay.
kids,
Mm-hmm.
okay? They are learning and being tested the whole Talmud. The Talmud is like 36 volumes,
Mm-hmm.
over 5,000 pages. Each
Okay.
page and folio is maybe hundreds of words, and they have to know it by heart.
I see.
So it's context of people involved, people in the mix, rabbinical masters who lived thousands of years ago, and they say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, a weird question. Where do we see in this Talmudic page in the Talmud, right?
Mm-hmm.
These 5, 10 rabbis who were relatives.
Mm-hmm.
Point them out which page throughout the Talmud. And these kids know it
Okay.
professionally. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is what goes on in Israel
Mm.
with kids who are not exposed to social media. Okay, not
Yeah.
exposed to the phone. Okay, this is what's
Interesting.
going on there. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
prodigies out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like small speck to what's out there. So
Okay.
what we do is like my mastering is mastering Judaica books,
Mm-hmm.
Judaica history, Judaica law,
Mm-hmm.
Judaica ethics, Judaic, like that's my culture. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to disclose, but I am planning to go back to university because I think everybody should go somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
especially now online it's available. I'm
Yeah.
dabbling into something there.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet, because I really want to finish iShook first because I spent
Okay.
7.5 years on it. But that's basically my,
Mm.
my educational background. And a Rhodes Scholar because I read a lot. I read every
Mm-hmm.
day. I'm making my job to read about 100 pages a day of something,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's internet, whether it's ideas, whether it's news, whether it's books. I buy now a lot of books
Mm-hmm.
because I see there's a lot of talented writers out there, in
Mm-hmm.
the space. And I make it my job to read what other people's have done and have succeeded. I want to give
That's a
one
great.
adage, if you don't mind. There's a concept. What took you, let's say, 60 years to write,
Hmm.
and you put it in a book that takes me 2 weeks to read or 2 days to read, depending on the book and how, how volume, how many pages it is, right?
Hmm.
I accumulated and digested your 60 years of knowledge
Yeah.
in 1 month, 3 days. So we're forgetting people who have knowledge and have that experience. They're not really 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old. They're thousands of years old, depending how much knowledge they accumulated of others.
Yeah.
So this is like one
Definitely.
principle we have in our religious, society and our, logical aspects of our community.
Hmm.
So that's something that people are forgetting. That's like something huge that people are forgetting. So I would tell everyone in the business space,
Hmm.
entrepreneur space,
Yeah.
because I'm very strong believer in entrepreneurship, that never deny anyone,
Hmm.
because whether young or old, we don't know how much knowledge they accumulated of others and of themselves. So we don't know what they can bring to the table ever. So never close doors, leave doors always open with whomever you will communicate with.
That's a great thought. So, did the entrepreneur life chose you, or did you deliberately chose that?
Say it again, I didn't get it.
Did the entrepreneur life chose you, or did you deliberately chose
No,
it?
I always felt it. I mean,
Uh-huh.
honestly, I always felt it that I always wanted to create something, even when I
Hmm.
was young. I always wanted to create something. Like I remember when I was a kid, I used to buy like, and my mother used to go crazy on this. I used to buy toys,
Hmm.
electronic toys, and I always used to take a screwdriver and start opening it up. I'm like, how does
Okay.
this work?
Yeah.
like, I'm like, why am I doing it? I was never tech savvy, hardware savvy like that, but
Hmm.
I did it anyway. I
Yeah.
I wanted to know what it was because you want to know how things work.
Mm.
Like if you know how things work, you have the ability better than someone else to do something. Like you're in a battle here. You got to be able to make yourself know better than the next person. Accumulate that information better than next. So when you know how something works, now I understand how it works. Now I can apply it. I can now apply
Hmm.
the technical ideas of how something works, maybe to a different industry or to a different, aspect or perspective in our lives, in general. And that's how it came to
Definitely.
me. I mean, I always was the idea person and making ideas happen. And that was
Hmm.
that was always my forte.
That's great. Um, so, like, since like a lot of people are trying to start their own online businesses due to the pandemic, most people are going online. What would you say is a basic skill set required to start a business? I mean, if they're starting something technical, might be that technical knowledge is required. But in general, is there any a general skill set that people should have before starting a
Yes,
business?
yes. There's a skill set everyone needs to have when you start a business or in any project you have.
Hmm.
Hey, you have to be honest, self-aware. It's key, self-aware. That's number one. Number two, you have to be willing to digest any information coming across with you because you don't know how that information will help you or hurt you. But you have to take it, put it on the side. But before you take it and put it on the side, you have to be able to kind of honestly be devil's advocate. Like try to dispute that information or that idea you have
Hmm.
by real, reasonable means, by factual means, right? You have to do that. You have to take it by factual means. The third one is discipline. Especially, I know I am used to working at home,
Hmm.
right? I'm used to working at home. I'm used to traveling when I need to travel. I'm used to going to the city when I need to go to the city. But I give you an example. No one's going to do what I did, but my experience to publish a book and I'm doing the page pagination, I can go. I used to be able to do this. I'm not as young. When I was in my 20s,
Hmm.
late 20s, I was able to go 36 hours no sleep.
Wow, that's
Yeah, like
uh-huh.
36 hours no sleep
Hmm.
to meet a deadline.
Mm.
So, for a person to get to that mindset, he needs the discipline.
Mm. Definitely.
People are forgetting, and all the young entrepreneurs are forgetting. You need the discipline.
Mm.
One big businessman told me something very interesting. This is like in the early 2000s when I was 18 years old. I'm close to 40 now.
Mm.
So he said, if you ever think about how much money you make, you will never make it.
Mm.
You have to think about making the work happen, productivity. So discipline is so key to productivity. Like, how does the discipline come? I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
Take a book.
Yeah.
Don't lay down on the couch and read the book. Okay, don't lay down on the couch.
Mm.
Don't lay down in your bed reading a book. Don't make reading a book or reading a leisure. It's not for leisure. It's not for relaxation. Take a book, any book or any article, anything you want to read, and sit on a table and clock yourself. How many hours can you sit down in one spot, or how many minutes now? Because people, we're talking about minutes now, right? It used to be you could do it for hours.
Yeah.
Okay. How many minutes now can I sit on a table and actually read material without being distracted? And then focus, am I really reading, or am I reading and thinking about something else?
Mm.
Which is what happens a lot.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
that's discipline. And obviously the technique is start 5 minutes at a time, 10 minutes at a time to learn to focus. That's just the point of discipline,
Mm.
because then you'll never be able to work in your house, because your house is your biggest enemy.
That's
You're at your leisure. You're at your
yeah.
domain. You're at your comfort zone. You got to get out of that comfort zone. So
Mm.
those are the three main right now that I'm looking at it in today's situation with the pandemic.
Definitely. And how difficult would you say it is to start a business in 2021, especially given the situation of pandemic?
Um, I think starting one is easy,
Mm-hmm.
starting it,
Yeah.
in the sense that if you have a good idea, and again, we're talking about a person who has, the unique skill set, he has the discipline, he has the execution ability. I mean, everyone has to know how to take something out of his mind, out of nothing, and make it something. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's called execution. That's what an entrepreneur is. I mean, if you can take something from nothing, that's who you are. I mean, that's where you're going to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in 2021 there are going to be challenges. Personally, I think so. I think it's not just challenges in the US. These challenges will have to probably be worldwide, because um, what's happening is now is people scared off business.
Mm-hmm.
The world has literally alienated small businesses. You know what I mean? They alienated small businesses. Like, people always say follow the science, but I don't hear scientists in social media talking as much.
Mm.
I'm not getting no real reception from scientists. I think people also scared the real scientists to talk.
Mm-hmm.
So what's happening is, I think people are scared, and that's what's going to happen in 2021. But what I believe is,
Mm-hmm.
um, if you can do what we're doing, iShook, which right now we're updating. I told you we're updating the whole iShook.com. I don't know if I said it before, but we're updating iShook.com with new JSON, new feature, new design layout, in order to make it, streamline it like all the other apps.
Mm-hmm.
What we want in iShook.com is more medical professionals getting on there, posting real articles, like submit articles of scientific research. Let us be the arbitrators, or the recipients, to digest that information. So what I think is, for the entrepreneurship, realm of all the entrepreneurships, to start up a new company, they could succeed. It's easy, but the only hurdle you're going to have is the financial hurdle.
Mm. Definitely.
So that's going to be the biggest hurdle, because people are going to be hesitant to financially, invest on something from scratch. See,
Mm-hmm.
my benefit is all our investment already happened from 2013
Mm-hmm.
till now. Any additional investment is to take us from where we are now to 2 to 3 years to IPO.
Mm.
So, but that was in 2013 when we started. So it was a different time, right?
Okay.
It was just a recovery off, a crash. Here, I don't know what's going to happen in the sense that 2021, I think there's a lot of money out there, even after the pandemic.
Yeah.
But I believe that even after the pandemic, that there could be a lot of money out there. I think there will be hesitation in investing with higher risk startups, which, by the way, the high risk startups are really the ones that become billion-dollar companies, right?
Definitely.
Because those high risk startups are, you need the service now for the idea now. So I think there will be a kind of imbalance where you're going to have a lot of startups coming up because there's going to be a lot of new ideas to resolve a lot of the social issues we have in the globe. But there will be a reluctance right now from the world of investors potentially on these startups because of the scare tactic that the governments have portrayed, right? So if the governments realize, yo, we got to back out and let capitalism grow, then we're going to win. But if they're going to feel that there's socialism here and everybody's focusing on some sort of socialism globally, then that's going to scare them. Because then they're going to, why would they invest if there's no, if there's no real capitalism of growth? Capitalism means growth. That's the reality. Without capitalism, there is no growth. I mean, my parents came from communist Russia, Soviet Union. There was no growth there, man. They're like, I know almost all my community members came from the Russian Soviet Union, areas. Like, there's no growth in Soviet Union. There's no growth in a communist country. You know what I mean? China is different. China, is communist. They have a duplicity. They want to be communist, but they still want to be the money company. They want to be the money players. So that's a paradox in itself. But that's a side point. That's already different.
Okay.
That's my answer, I guess, more or less.
Okay.
My assessment. It might be long. I apologize again, but
That's okay. So, what were some of the hurdles that you faced while starting iShook, and what were some of your monumental successes?
The hurdles were acceptance, probably, with the book industry. It's an industry that seems to be more privatized in a sense. Like, I mean, the hurdles are also with regards to digital rights. To like, if you go to a big publisher, they're not so easy to sell to you. You know what I mean? Which is weird. I don't get it. I just don't understand why. I mean, when you have retail stores, you sell your product in any retail store you can get, right? But for some reason, when it comes to online retail stores, they're very picky. No, we don't want to give it to you here. We don't want to give it to you there. I mean, those were some hurdles. I mean, one time we went to a big company. One time we signed to a company. I'm not going to mention their name, but we signed with a company and we signed every paperwork. We guaranteed we're going to do this, A, B, C. We did everything they asked. They asked us to do AES 26 key encryption with all the ebooks. We did everything. Yeah. And one company just didn't sign up. The other company, I'm like, listen, we did everything you asked. Where's the deal? And then when we signed the deal and we expand with them, one of these companies, then they weren't able to deliver. Like, we were doing print shipping on demand where people ordered books, but their APIs just didn't work when it came to the, when it came to the delivering mechanisms, because they were in Europe and we were in the United States. But still, I mean, the APIs weren't working to charge the clients that we had the shipping cost. We got hit with the shipping cost. So these big companies, I think they have a big difficulty in understanding tech. And that's what's happening. The hurdle is that the younger generation who understands tech is clashing with the older generation who's just trying to do the tech. They're trying to get their platform working. They're trying to get their API working, but they can't really accommodate. They're not in sync. You know what I mean? They're just not in sync. Those were the biggest hurdles we had. I mean, everything else was easy to do in the sense of commitment and time and discipline and actually working on it to do it. I mean, our ebook platform, which is native ebook, took us months, close to a year just to develop, and a huge amount of money. We did it. We went to it. We performed. We made it happen. Sleepless nights, countless hours, but we got it done. That was in 2013, 14. And that's the basic gist of it. I mean, people that, that's the biggest hurdle is, transitioning the world to this new era that we're claiming we're creating. Whether good or for bad, we don't know, you know?
Got it. And what about your successes? Did you feel like after conquering a milestone that, oh, this is like a really big success for iShook?
I believe it's a big success for iShook, but I believe the big success for iShook is very small because
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot more iShook can deliver and help for the communities,
Mm-hmm.
where people are getting rich content and people understand that whatever is on Twitter or whatever is on Facebook is an opinion. It's
Yeah.
not a fact.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time people are going to understand what's a fact is when they understand that history is fact.
Mm-hmm.
History is factual. When when a journalist in like I said before, when a journalist becomes a lawyer
Mm-hmm.
or when a journalist becomes a historian,
Yeah.
that's when we have a problem.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
That's not your forte. You want to quote a
Mm-hmm.
historian, quote a historian.
Yeah.
You want to quote a law professor, quote a law professor. But don't become the law professor and the historian in your own beliefs. I'll give you an example, greatest example.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And let's put aside the political aspect of it, but I want to focus to the factual aspect of it. So there was things going on through WhatsApp. A person submitted um, image that Hitler in the time of the Nazi regime defunded the police.
Mm.
Okay, I posted that on my Facebook. I get flagged. Okay, no problem. Get flagged. Okay, what's the flag? 2 news articles said that this was debunked and not true. I'm like,
Mm.
okay, let me go check the news articles. You know, I would say if I made a mistake, you know, my fault, no problem, you know. But then I look it up and I see what this news article is quoting. I go to the Encyclopedia of World War II Studies. There's a special encyclopedia of World War II, and it's to the contrary, because defunding the police was also voting in, determining in votes with council members to say, okay, we're not going to do A, B, C, D anymore, right?
Mm.
That was also a form of defunding. Like, we're going to play on words. Okay, let's play on the words. I understand that. But to bring me an article from a newspaper
Mm-hmm.
where it's a historical encyclopedia, okay, an historical encyclopedia that tells me otherwise. Well, the historical encyclopedia tells me that Hitler created laws that the police, that the brown coat police, should be taken over by the SS troops.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Why did he do that? In order to get the good guys who are the police. And these good guys, this brown coat police used to arrest the Nazis.
Mm.
They arrested Nazis for the mischief, for the
Mm.
bad that they've done. But he knew he couldn't have those Germans in opposition.
Mm.
So what did he do? He took over the police.
Okay.
You get it? He took it over. And what did he do? It created them to force them to retire.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, we can't work with the SS.
Mm.
These guys are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, we can't deal with this. So they just retired. They couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole police system was taken over.
I see.
So it's all about how you interpret what defund meant. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But why are we presenting incorrect information? We need historical information with historical context.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So until I really don't have my platform really showing people, when you have an idea, when you have an issue that's a factual issue, not an opinion issue, because we have rights to argue on opinion,
Mm-hmm.
but we have to, when we start arguing about fact, we could say, we don't know the facts now as of yet. Or we can say, no, I have a fact. Look at this study. Boom, I got this study from this professor. But then I can say, okay, your professor's a cool guy, but I got 3 other professors that say, boom, you're wrong. You know what I mean? So that's the purpose of iShook. So until I really don't get people, like hundreds of millions of people, that's my goal, doing that in a form that's a cool form, in a form that's an intellectual form, then, you know, I feel that we don't really have a true form. You know what I mean?
mm,
Like we have to have a true debate the way it's meant to be, to hash out the truths of lives. You know what I mean?
mm.
Not just an opinion and marketing and talking points. Like I said, digesting of snapshots of information, it's doesn't do anyone good.
Mhm,
Which they call snippets, right? We all know what it is.
mm. Okay, so apart from work, when you're not working, what do you do? How do you spend your time?
I read a lot. That's all it is. I read a
Okay.
lot. I play with my kids. I enjoy their company. What I mean? That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I make sure that they're engaged. I try to learn from what they're interested in. Like
Mm-hmm.
right now, the Roblox community is really intriguing me. Like
Mm.
the kids are playing Roblox. I'm really intrigued in how this Roblox platform works. I think Roblox will be multi-billion-dollar company to
Mm.
potentially, beat Blizzard, not beat, but be in very high competition with Blizzard Entertainment, with what else? With few other companies, with Fortnite for sure, because it's something strong with Roblox, especially that now Roblox has uh reward system where you can cash out.
Mm.
So I think
Okay.
I think Roblox will be the future of gaming
Mm-hmm.
and independent game making.
Okay.
Because not everybody will have that apparatus with that $10 million ability to create their own ecosystem or a scene for their gaming. Where
That's
he
true.
created you a platform where you can develop on your own, which I think Roblox will be the future.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think that's where, and I learned that from my kids. I had no clue about Roblox
Mm-hmm.
till I spend time with my kids. So spending time with my kids, I get to spend
Yeah.
time with them, and I learn about this new platform, which is
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I do in my spare time mostly.
That's nice.
And of course, writing. I write my own material. Obviously,
Okay.
who doesn't write? I mean, you can't be.
That's great. Okay, so what keeps you moving forward in life?
Basically to help people. I mean, honestly, it's when you read about, I don't know how to explain it, but when you're in a religious world and you meet a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
and you realize everybody, listen, we all bleed the same color of blood.
Mm.
I mean, if you don't, you got to be scary, man. Right? You're not bleeding green, right? Your blood is not green or blue, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all bleed this. So we have to understand we're all in this planet. We're all brothers and sisters.
Mm.
And we all have to really want to be better ourselves
Mm-hmm.
in order to give that energy for others to be better around you.
Mm.
Right? Yeah, and it never works. You can never dictate. I cannot tell you be good while I still do my shtick.
Mm.
It doesn't work that
It
way.
doesn't work that way.
That's what you got to be good here,
Mm-hmm.
so you become a magnet to attract good people,
Mm-hmm.
and then and make those people even better with you.
Mm.
So my whole goal is really to bring good to this world, to bring as much as I have talent to help all communities, all types of peoples,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the book itself, books in general,
Mm.
are keys to information for generations, for thousands of years, since from manuscript to printing to publishing. I mean, if books weren't so important, right, they wouldn't be a threat to big government.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing they do, big government, is burn books.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of maybe the viewers who will listen to this interview, just to give you an example, in the 1200s,
Mm-hmm.
okay, before there was printing, 24 wagons
Mm-hmm.
full of Talmudic manuscripts were
Mm-hmm.
burnt in Paris
Oh.
to censor our community. So growth in a community will never happen with censorship. So my goal and my biggest dream is that, and I say this very clearly to everybody, right, for you and for people to learn,
Mm-hmm.
that free press is an ingredient to an open society.
Mm-hmm.
It's the main ingredient. Freedom of religion is the main ingredient. Freedom of being who you are is the main ingredient. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Equality can only happen within us as people.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be good in order for the next generation to be good. We have to start within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it comes to free press and creating a forum, which is what iShook is about,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you can come to the forum, but with house rules,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're all guests in the forum.
That's true.
Once we learn that and we understand that as a community, I'll be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because then I can talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's boring not talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
People got to be with people.
That's true.
And I think that's maybe this is a lesson we should have learned with this pandemic. That
Mm-hmm.
the detachment
Yeah.
of people we should now appreciate interacting with people. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like right now, I wish I can chill with you in Canada, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you drink beers, but drink
Yeah.
some beers with you. You know what I mean? Vodka,
Yes.
beer, whatever. Like chill with you, like talk to you. Like this kind of thing is awesome.
Mm.
I get to learn from you. You get to learn from me. Next time I'm going to interview you, bro. You know, don't interview.
Yeah.
I'll interview you. You know,
Sure.
like you
Absolutely.
know, that like this is like for you come on my show, LinkedIn connections. I should LinkedIn connections. I want to know what you do, what you at. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So
Absolutely.
I mean, like these are things that this is what that's what make me happy because it's not about iShook becoming $1 billion company.
Mm-hmm.
It's about iShook doing the right thing
Mm-hmm.
the right way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the key: the right thing, the right way. You
Mm-hmm.
can be doing the right thing, but the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
You get it? Or
Yeah.
you can be doing the the wrong thing the right way, which is the bad way. If you do the wrong thing the right way,
Mm.
you got problems.
Yeah.
But if you try to do the right thing the wrong way,
Mm-hmm.
that's where that's where we lose. That's where you're good, but you're not there yet.
That's true. That's true. Um, so what's your favorite book and why? If you had to choose one book, not multiple.
My favorite book,
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I can't really give you a favorite because a
Mhm.
lot of my books are foreign languages, and I don't know if
Okay.
anyone will understand it. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But I could tell you my favorite book. What is
Mhm.
1984 and Great
Mhm.
Expectations. Those are the books that I actually was really intrigued in learning in reading in high school because it was
Mhm.
a prerequisite. Don't assume that I was an avid reader when I was young, right?
Mhm.
It took time to understand.
Mhm.
It's like reading is like sometimes for some people is like dry wine. You gotta really drink enough of it to
Yeah,
appreciate it, right?
that's true.
So 1984 was a book that I read when I was in high school, cover to cover, read a couple times after.
Mhm.
Great Expectations was very intriguing to my perspective. I love that book.
Mhm.
It gave a person. It really opened my mind the skill set of writing.
Mhm.
Like that. Now I understand why that book is like one of the real books. Like these are like one of the literature. This is literature. Like that's what we call literature,
Mhm.
where literature gives you an ability to bring you into a setting and teach you something that you would have never thought of before.
Mhm.
I mean, like that's the I think those two books are probably my favorite books. 1984 for sure, because everyone needs to know what Big Brother is about. You
Mhm.
know, when people try to control other people, that's where we all lose.
Mhm.
We don't, we, that control is not good. You know,
Mhm. That's
control
true.
is not good. One person told me a lesson: when you have water in your hand, you can only hold the water. You can't hold the water like this,
Mhm.
not with a closed fist, and you can't hold water with an open hand.
Mhm.
Right? When you have water doesn't stay,
Mhm.
but you can hold water in between.
Mhm.
You always have to have a middle balance in everything you do. It's a
That's
lesson that we learn.
mhm.
It's something cool. But that's basically the way I look at it. And that's my favorite book. Right?
Okay.
Those are two of my favorite books off the bat.
Mhm. What's the best and worst part of being a CEO?
Oh man, well, the best part is that you can make decisions that are
Mhm.
cool. Right? You're the lead in the creating process.
Mhm.
Um, the worst decisions probably listen. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to make decisions that people might not like. You know,
Mhm.
you might,
Mhm.
uh, but you have to. How do I explain it? But you have to make decisions that people might not like.
That's true.
But and you also have to make decisions that your investors might not like.
Mhm.
Right? I'm not trying to justify Mr. Dorsey's actions, right? As a
Okay.
CEO, I'm maybe not in his level.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think he has a messianic complex. That's
Mm-hmm.
my personal opinion.
Okay.
But you know, I mean, like, but the reality is that, yeah, I mean, a CEO has to make hard decisions.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt about it, especially when you're big like that, you know, or big in any aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, are you capable of making those decisions? Listen, I trained, you know, I have my own congregation, right? I have my own peoples. You know, I lead people. People ask me for advice.
Mm-hmm.
When you have that practice of decision making for people's day-to-day life,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's easier for me to make the right call because I'm already trained to understand if I do A, I know that F will happen or G will happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it's better to go to F or G because the path is the right path
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to going to Z.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
You know, so maybe people won't see it. I will for sure explain it when I'm making that decision
Mm-hmm.
to anyone who would ask me, right? I
Mm-hmm.
have no problem explaining it,
Mm-hmm.
but that's the main point. That's the ups and downs of being a CEO. And by the way, a CEO can also destroy his whole company with one stupid mistake because he doesn't have that life experience.
Mm-hmm. Correct, correct.
You know, because they never interact with people. You can't be a CEO who never really interacted with people and who
Mm-hmm.
never really took decisions on behalf of people or made a decision for people. That's called leadership, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can't be a CEO like the guy from WeWork smoking pot all day, right? He destroyed his whole company, his WeWork company. I mean, let's be frank, that destroys the whole company.
Mm-hmm.
That's a wrong decision making. So that's basically it in that aspect. I mean, but
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely say when it comes to the company itself, I made many decisions that saved the company a lot of money loss. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure.
Do you have a pledge for this year, 2021?
Say again, a pledge?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh well, no, I don't know. Be better. I mean,
Okay.
no, actually, honestly, my pledge is getting a million users for 2021.
Okay.
That's my main pledge right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's like really important right now. You know?
Okay, so we have reached the short rapid fire questions of this interview. So I'm going to ask you short questions and try to keep your answers short. And it'll be like a quick, very short section of this
Okay,
interview. Okay.
no problem.
So first question to you is three things that no one knows about you.
Well, I'm not gonna answer that.
Okay.
I'm not gonna answer
Next one.
that.
Next one. What's the craziest thing someone has done for you?
I can't answer that either. It's personal.
Okay.
Again, that's like really
No
personal.
problem. What is the one thing that you would like to change about yourself?
Um, I would like to increase my open-mindedness. I am open-minded, but you always have to, be open-minded. Keep on keeping yourself open-minded,
Mhm.
not become narrow-minded in the future.
Mm.
So that's my goal. My goal.
What's your spirit animal?
The wolf. I love the wolf. Well, I don't know if it's my spirit animal, but my feeling it's the wolf. Man.
Okay.
Yeah.
A rumor about you that you wish were true.
Well, hopefully, being a billionaire.
Okay.
Everyone thinks I'm a billionaire. Hopefully, it'll happen.
Yeah. Hopefully, it turns out to be true. Um, what's uh, what's the easiest way to piss you off?
Oh, stupidity.
Okay.
Stupidity is the easiest, but I brush it off. I'm tolerant, but stupidity is
Mhm.
like if you do something so stupid, I'm like, where did you come from? Like that pisses me off.
Okay. Yeah, I can understand. Okay, now you have to rate yourself on the following from 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest.
Okay.
So, first one is quick learner,
Oh, 10.
book enthusiast.
Oh, that's for sure.
Yeah. A leader.
I would say 8. You always have what to learn as a leader. You
Hmm.
never up to 10 as a leader.
Mhm.
You always have to learn from your peers.
As a CEO.
That I would say also an 8 for sure.
Okay. As a friend.
Depends.
Okay.
Best friend or my friend?
I don't know, just a friend.
If it, let's say 9. All right.
Okay.
I do everything for my friends if they ask.
Okay. As a father.
I think a 10. I have to say a 10. My kids might watch this.
Mhm.
They better believe it.
Okay, great. So that's the, end of rapid fire questions. And last thing for you is, can you nominate three other business owners or CEOs or CTOs, anyone at a C level who would be interested in doing this interview with me?
You should interview crypto beetles if you can get the.
No, I mean, can you introduce, like, make like an
Yeah,
introduction?
I can talk to a few people. Yeah, sure.
Okay, sure,
I'll
sure,
talk to a
sure.
few people. Yeah, I got 1,000+ connections.
Okay,
I'll
great.
ask.
That would be awesome. Sounds good. Okay, so that's the end of the interview. So thanks, Benny. Thanks for, taking out some time to talk with me. Thank you for sharing glimpses of your life, talking about your background, talking about your company, talking about the amazing thing that iShook will do this year and the coming years. I hope, you get all the success in your business.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for connecting today. Take care, Benny.
Take care.